Hi, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our fourth annual community celebration. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Kelsey Vaughn. I'm the development director at She Can, and I'm so excited to be with all of you here tonight. And I'm actually going to kick off the evening with a little bit of housekeeping. So first and foremost, as you can see, we already have 95 participants in the meeting. So please make sure to keep yourself muted all night long. We had over 200 RSVPs, so you want to make sure you have that mic muted. And secondly, you may notice for those of you who are in gallery view and can see lots of people on your screen, you may want to actually switch over to speaker view. And for those of you who don't know where that is, it's actually located in the upper right of your Zoom link. And you can also at any point in the night, if you want to look at just one particular person, you can choose to pin the speaker. If you click on the three dots in the lower right of their name, you will have an option to pin their video. So that's also an option open to you. And you can unpin at any time. Also, you can notice we have a great chat going. Grace Libby, our program manager, will be monitoring the chat all night long. So please enter your questions into the chat. And at the end of the night, Grace will be calling on folks who submitted questions and ask you to actually unmute yourself and read it out loud, like we're in a true community meeting all in person. So yes, great. And then Caroline, if we can actually pull up the next slide, that would be great. Because we have an action-packed evening for all of you tonight. We're going to kick off the night with our executive director and founder, Barbara Bilinga. She's going to give us a 10-year review of She Can because we turned 10 this year. And somehow she's going to do it in about 7 minutes. So we'll see how that goes. I'm sure it's going to be great. Then we're going to give it an update from our directors about how things went in 2020. And we're going to talk about our expansion into Guatemala later this year. Then the highlight of the night, our scholar TED Talks. They're going to be lightning TED Talks, very quick, from 5 great scholars. And then we're going to give out our senior award, our Lisa SuperNoma award to our senior of the year. Then we'll talk about how you can get involved with She Can and open it up for questions. So yes, we're off to a great night. And Barb, I want to turn it over to you to kick us off.
Great. Thank you, Kelsey. And really, thank you, everyone, for attending and supporting us over these last 10 years. Just scrolling through the people here really was sort of emotional for me. There's so many people on the call tonight that I can remember from even back in the beginning. Thank you for joining us. To kick off, before I do 10 years in review, we're gonna have a release of our annual report. This is the 10-year, looking back at the history of She Can over 10 years. This is the first time that we've sent it live. It's not going to come to your doorstep, but Grace did put the link in the chat so you can click on it and open it up and download it and have your own copy. I think everyone should know that this project started with one of our scholars, Heang, who was an intern over the summer, and she did a bang-up job getting it all together, setting us up to finalize it in January. So thank you, Heang, for doing such a great job. And the goal of the report, I'm gonna scroll through it kind of so you can see it. You won't get much of the information, it's too small, but you can kind of see how pretty it is. The goal of putting it together was really to share our achievements and how we've grown over the past 10 years. So I hope you all, after tonight, will take the time to check it out and read about us. Okay, now I'm going to do a quick overview of what's happened over the last 10 years at She Can. Now, most of you have heard my origin story probably many, many times. So just to recap that, in 2006, the organization started in a beauty salon in Kigali, Rwanda, where I met a young woman named Melise, and I helped her win a full ride to Bucknell. that's sort of the conception of She Can, but it officially started in 2011 in my apartment when I applied for and got the 501c3 and we became a legal entity. And that was when we were open a door. And I quickly went down to Rwanda and picked a group of scholars who were matched with one mentor, and 4 of them won full scholarships. And that totaled 4 won full scholarships, which meant we had raised $1 million in scholarship money. And then quickly we helped another 4, growing our scholarship money to $2 million. The next 3 years were really all about forming the model or figuring out what the model should be. We started by conceiving of the Scholarship Coalition, and we quickly had 13 schools join, all agreeing to take at least one of our scholars ahead of time. So we knew we had scholarships waiting. We moved from having each of our scholars have 1 mentor to 5 mentors, which has been a great a great change. We had our very first leadership summit, and that's also the period when we started raising big money. We had our first gala at Bimbo's. I'm sure many of you who were there are on this call. It was definitely a learning experience, but we also saw it as a success. Our second year at Bimbo's, we announced that we changed our name to She Can. But what that meant was by 2015, by then, 25 scholars had won a total of $7 million in scholarships. And the next few years were really about growing. We had shaped our model, and while we were global, we wanted to expand even further globally. It was a time when our first Rwandan scholars graduated, which was really a significant time graduation. We hadn't experienced it before. Our staff, we moved out of my apartment into a real office where we still are today in Tiburon. That's when also our very first Cambodian scholars started to come to the United States. And we grew up by moving the gala to the War Memorial, where we've been for, I think, the last 5 years, I think. So by 2018, we had 54 scholars, and the total scholarship award was 14 million. And now we're at this phase where we really are having, our leaders are becoming a force. They're getting amazing positions. They're excelling at helping other women excel. We also had our first Cambodian scholars graduate and return home. We expanded into Liberia, and the first 4 Liberians headed to the US in 2020. And for the first time, we hit $1 million annually in funds. Our total scholars right now are 74 with 19 million in scholarships. And of those, 27 are graduates. And within another month, we're going to have 10 more graduates. So we're almost at having 37 graduates. And then the most exciting thing is we're expanding into Guatemala this year. Now, we truly wouldn't exist, and we wouldn't have accomplished all this without this supportive community. And so I want to share a little bit about it. I like to talk about us not as an organization, but really as a hub or as a real community that's working together to uplift these 74 scholarship winners. You can see from this chart, we have 332 mentors, our scholars have been at 28 colleges. We really do have over 2,000 donors supporting us, which is amazing, and many powerful women leaders, including President Sirleaf, parliamentarians, many leaders in their field, see us and understand the importance of the work we do. And then we've really put together a great network of partners who help us with internships and job support. And it's because of this community that our scholars are thriving, and we are very thankful. But I also would be remiss if I didn't at least mention that along the way, I've had this amazing board of directors who have been my support system. They're more than a board, they're mentors, they're advisors, they're volunteers, they're donors, and most of all, they're friends. It includes Mary Jane Luck, who's our board chair. She's been with me since day one. And Nancy Murphy, she's our board secretary. She was our very first mentor, agreeing to be a mentor before there was even an organization. And Carol Chang, of course, we couldn't do without her. She's our CFO and our DJ extraordinaire. Kristen Nicholson has really helped us grow rapidly by bringing her amazing network to us. And then we have Melanie Delbecco. She is a scale master and a true advisor for us as we continue to grow. We also have grown as a staff or as an organization or as an organization. We've gone from my apartment to a team of 17 full and part-time staff members. And there's 3 departments. I don't know if anyone has realized this. We have 3 departments and each has a director. The program is led by Madison Shepard. She spearheads everything that has to do with the program. We have our community building department that's led by Diane DeMarley. And that includes everything that has to do with the schools, recruiting the schools, the mentors, as well as the employers that we recruit. And then we have our development department, all things business and raising money that Kelsey, of course, leads and runs. So what we're going to do now is we're going to hear from each of those 3 directors. They're going to talk about what's happened in the last 12 months, really with an eye of how COVID propelled us with challenges as well as silver linings. And the first director is Madison. Madison Shepard. Madison came to SheCan straight out of graduate school, and she's been with us for 5 years. Madison really is the backbone of the program. I can't imagine SheCan without her. Madison, why don't you step in and take it away?
Thank you so much, Barb. Well, 2020 was definitely a year full of challenges. I don't think anyone can deny that. But when the US locked down in March, our first priority was scholar safety, getting everyone somewhere safe. It was really chaotic and so much was uncertain that Grace and I just worked closely with each individual scholar and her mentor team to make sure that she could get somewhere comfortable where she could ride out the wave of the pandemic. For those who wanted to stay on campus, we helped them apply for emergency housing as their schools were shutting down around them. For those who wanted to get home and be with family, we offered to fund their flights and helped them book those. For those who wanted to move off campus, either to a mentor's home or to a friend's, we just made sure that they really were taking their health seriously during that transition and had found somewhere that accepted their health insurance. That was very important to us. On the bright side, though, I think through all of that, we ramped up our communication with the scholars so much more than we had in previous years, and really were in daily communication with them. And that was really nice to be connected during such a scary time. Barb, I'm going to pass it back to you briefly just to talk about our visa issues.
Oh, I do the best job of telling this story, so I thought I would jump in. We had a little challenge in that one of our scholars from Liberia who had to stay there for her freshman year was denied her visa in January due to a family history issue. And within 4 business days, the consulate in Liberia had a letter from a Pennsylvania congresswoman, US congresswoman from Pennsylvania, and the president of Lafayette College. And she got her visa. And that's a testament to the power of the network. They rose up and we helped Cece get her visa. And there she is right there with Chanel at the airport. They both got to come together.
Yes, and even with the help from the embassy, we did have a couple scholars who were stuck and stranded at home just for their first semester. It included 2 from our inaugural class. I don't know how many of you have been to Liberia, but I will say that internet connectivity there is a challenge at best. Most families don't have consistent access to electricity. And internet is not hardwired at all like it is here in the US. It's mostly based on cellular data. So knowing all of that, we were really worried about finding a place for them to study for that first semester where they could actually be online consistently for their classes. We went to our local network for help and we ended up sending them to this farm That was a resort outside of Monrovia, a couple hours, where they spent their first semester, and we thought that the internet would be better there. There was some connections to a local cellular company, but it was an absolute nightmare in real reality. And being first-year college students at great schools like Lafayette and USF, they really needed consistent access to the internet to be able to complete their semesters. We aborted that about halfway through the semester and pulled them into an apartment in Monrovia, and the internet connection was slightly better there, I will say, but there's still some challenges. And despite all of that, those scholars really did well in school. They even made the dean's list that first semester. So we're really proud of you, Cece and Chanel, for making it through that. And a huge thank you to the mentor teams for really stepping up at that time and providing much more support than mentors typically do in that first semester. And I'm glad to say now they've both safely made it to the US for their second semester and are here studying, but it was a challenging start. But even though the past year was a little bit hard, there were so many things that were really positive as well. So when we gave scholars that choice to be where they were most comfortable at the start of the pandemic, it was really our community that made that possible. We had 1 million frequent flyer miles donated so that we were able to fly scholars home to their families. Our partner schools stepped up in a big way, not only with housing on campus, but also COVID relief stipends. Some of them sent the scholars home themselves. And our mentors, some of them housed the scholars, took them in with so much uncertainty. They wanted to have a place where they felt really safe and comfortable. So thank you all, those of you who helped make sure that the scholars were safe during that time and really well taken care of. And while all that was happening, we were still doing our program as usual, still getting girls into school. So we helped our new class get into college. I'm happy to say that all 10 have officially been accepted to US schools. Yay. I'll talk about 3 stories in particular. Divina Boyd, who's one of our scholars from Liberia, was accepted to Georgetown University on an amazing full ride scholarship called the Arupi Pedro Scholarship for Peace. So we're so proud of Divina. Georgetown's a new school for us. We can't wait for her to get to campus. Wutika Pun also went into regular decision and was recently admitted to St. Mary's College. And shout out to Eric Flett, who I think is on this call. Thank you, Eric, for making that connection. We couldn't have done it without you. We are waiting on the final scholarship details, but our fingers are crossed definitely for a full ride. And Pisai Kim, who is our aspiring architect from Cambodia, was admitted to the very prestigious Syracuse University School of Architecture. So we're really proud of her for all that hard work too. We're adding 2 new schools to our roster. Both Georgetown and St. Mary's are new schools for us. We can't wait to welcome all of these incoming freshmen in fall of 2021. And not only did we keep our program running, we also wanted to keep growing and find our next class. Obviously, we couldn't travel like we normally do. We didn't do our 2-week in-country, in-person interview process, but we did pivot to an online model and still found some really stellar candidates through that. We couldn't have done it without the help of our mentor volunteers. We had a whole team of past volunteers step up to help us with this virtual recruitment cycle. Many of them joined us in both countries because we were all online. And we also leaned heavily on our local scholars there who are in person in the country, able to help with some of the logistics, especially in Liberia, where we had applicants who hadn't really used a computer before, let alone been on a Zoom call. So shout out to our Liberian scholars for all their help. And local partner in Liberia, Smart Liberia, also was crucial in that. They opened up their space to our applicants so that they had computers and Wi-Fi to use during the interview process. I'm really happy to announce that we recruited 11 amazing new amazing new candidates for the program. These are our 6 Cambodian candidates for this year. And we also have 5 new Liberian candidates. Here they are. Great. And without travel, we found opportunities to add new programming. It started out with our first ever virtual commencement, which we did last May. And and we are going to continue that tradition. It was a big success. So please mark your calendars for June 5th, 2021. That's when we'll celebrate the class of 2021. Grace just dropped the registration link in the chat, so please sign up for that now. And because commencement went so well, we were just inspired to continue doing more virtual events. Everything was online. That made it much more flexible. People were really stepping up and wanting to help us in new and innovative ways. So we designed a lot of new programming around what we were hearing from scholars and mentors about where some more support might be needed in the program. Our leadership training went fully online, and we had more experts from across the US this year join our virtual summit. We also launched a series of internship workshops to help better prepare the scholars for the summer. And it wasn't just presentations, we also held discussions. We hosted some calls to provide a safe space for our scholars and mentors to talk about issues like social justice and racial justice in the US, as well as mental health during the pandemic. Later this year, we're going to be launching a new series called the Change Agent Career Speaker Series. So if you want to be a part of that, or you have any other suggestions of how you can lend your personal expertise, please drop it in the chat, reach out to me directly. I'd love to connect.
Okay, thanks, Madison. Talk about a difficult year, but you and Grace really pulled it out. We're so excited that everything went well. Thank you for sharing all that. Now, I'd like to introduce Diane DeMarley. She is our Director of Community Building. Diane came to us 3 years ago from the Marin Community Foundation, as well as B612 Foundation. Diane oversees, like I said, all the things that had to do with our mentors and our schools and in our employer consortium. Diane, take it away.
Hi, everyone. I'm Diane DeMarley. And yes, we did have a challenging year last year in community building. It started off with, in March, finding out that everything had locked down and everything needed to go to virtual. And so we were planning to have parties all across the nation for mentor recruiting. We were going to be visiting all sorts of colleges, and all of those trips needed to be canceled and now refigured to be virtual. So we shifted our mentor recruiting to all be virtual. Our college recruiting was now going to be done by the phone or virtual. And then all of our celebrations, our freshman mentor welcome, our mentor matching event, et cetera, virtual. And really hard for all of the scholars. A lot of them have gotten internships, et cetera, but with lockdown, all the internships, many of them were all canceled. Or any leads for internships were also drying up and not happening. So everything got shifted to virtual. And with everything changes as much as it did, which, you know, it was, if you remember what it was like, it felt like every day there was something different that you had to address and think about. We realized that the community really needed to connect more. We needed to have more conversations about what was happening, about their ideas, about how to connect. So we put together ways to address that, because that was really something that we needed to do to come together as a community and be able to thrive in such a difficult time. So the good news is, what we've known all along is our community rocks, because you guys really stepped up and made so many good things happen, so many silver linings. It was really amazing. What we found is that virtual communication really made us closer, and a lot of good ideas were born out of that. We started something called mentor circles, which started as weekly meetings and kind of went to like monthly or bi-monthly meetings of mentors from across the nation talking with us about what's going on with their scholars, with them, with COVID, et cetera. What can we do? How can we help? People got to know each other that didn't know each other before. It really was a great way for us to all connect and solve a lot of problems. Also, with the new movement for Black Lives last summer, we all really needed to talk about racism and what was happening in the country and how we could support our scholars. And out of that, a lot of new ideas and understanding was born as well. Some of these great new programs that came out of it include the Diversity Task Force, which is made up of mentors and scholars and some staff that are addressing racism, how it affects our scholars, and how we can all work together to support them. Also, something that came up was a lot of our community said, how can I help? I want to volunteer. I want to, offer my expertise. So we put together the Power to Fly Network, which really is a powerful way to not only learn about global women's leadership, but to help out and volunteer. And some great volunteer projects, including things like coaches for the scholars who are doing community projects in their countries. Or somebody has helped, a couple of people I think have helped put together some pre-college programs that will help our scholars be ready to hit the ground running when they get to college here in the US. Another program that was born and started by two scholars, Wutnir Lee and Aidy Ung, is our Speaking as a Leader program. This, they put together resources in the whole program and co-led it, and several scholars and mentors worked together to help improve their English speaking grammar and pronunciation. Additionally, several scholars stepped up and created these really wonderful workshops on the history and culture of their countries, so that mentors could learn about in depth about Rwanda, about Cambodia, about Liberia, and really get a feeling for what it's like in their countries and all the wonderful culture that goes with that. All these programs are continuing on beyond the into 2020, into 2021 and beyond, and were created out of COVID in 2020. Additionally, as I mentioned, a lot of the internships dried up. Another really great silver lining is our community stepped up and helped our scholars find remote internships, or some helped create remote internships. And so a lot of scholars ended up having internships even in lockdown. This picture right here is of Christiane, who ended up getting an internship at Cisco with the help of her mentor, Annie Kaiser. So lots of silver linings, thanks to you, our community.
Great, thank you, Diane. Yes, it was a very busy year, very, very busy year. Now I'm excited to reintroduce our development director, Kelsey Vaughn. She came to us as an intern when she was at Dominican back in 2012. She left and came back a couple times for some great opportunities, and has been running our development department for 5 years. She's the one that's in charge of the gala and raising the money for that event. So Kelsey, why don't you tell us about the year?
Great, thanks, Barb. Well, I'll actually kick it off with a challenge from tonight. So I know a few folks wrote in about room capacity. So apologies on the technical difficulties. We have opened up Facebook Live. So everyone who's watching from Facebook, hi. Still feel free to put your questions in the chat and we will answer those tonight as well. So, moving to an all virtual world, it definitely does pose challenges. And I know for us too, at the start of 2020, when COVID hit, we really looked around and had no idea what our finances were going to look like at that point. We weren't sure what things were going to cost, if folks would still be able to donate. And most importantly, we really had no idea how we were going to throw our 2.0, which for those of you who don't know, it's our big annual gala for 400 people in person in San Francisco. And we looked around at each other and we said, there's no way this event is going to happen. And we had to figure out, okay, how are we going to do this virtually? But I will say it wound up really being our best year ever for our community. At Revolution 2.0, we raised $500,000, which is what we normally raise. And truly, we couldn't have done it without everyone who stepped up into our community. Special thanks to Ronnie, who gave us a portion of their warehouse to pack over 400 boxes that we sent out to all of our guests all around the country. To our event team, Lisa, Lucinda, Kari, and Cleo, and to our co-chairs, Melanie, Barbara, Jennifer, Peggy, and Mary Ann, who really helped make it a really successful fundraiser. And to everyone who participated, you can see down in the bottom, we had a killer dance party. So even though we were all dancing in our rooms, we didn't let that stop the party for us. And we really kept that momentum up in December. We typically raise around $30,000 in December for our end of year campaign. And we knocked it out of the park because of you. We raised $121,000, which is so great. Over 4 times our goal, really. And the total for the year, because of that, we hit $1 million in annual donations for the first time ever. So truly, it was a really tough year, but we got through it because of you. And it's really helped us launch into 2021 on the right foot. And so I'm going to pass it over to Barb, who's going to tell you a little bit about what's coming up for 2021.
Thanks, Kelsey. Okay, so we are growing again. Guatemala, here we come. We're finally going to go. We've been talking about this for 2 years. You've been hearing about it, but we have a trip planned for June, and we're going to go back and do a recruiting trip in September. People ask me all the time, why Guatemala? We are focused on post-conflict countries. There was a horrific genocide, civil war, as well as a genocide from 81 to 83. And this was mostly against the indigenous people, and indigenous women in Guatemala really have a triple whammy. They are indigenous, they are women, and they are low income, and they lack pathways. And so our goal is to help the indigenous Guatemalan women rise up and come to college in the US and become leaders. We also know that colleges are hungry for Latin American students, and they have a hard time finding qualified ones. So we're excited to be helping them with that goal. We hope after we return from the recruiting trip to have 4 to 6 Guatemalan start school in 2022. Okay, so with that little recap of the last year and a little bit of looking forward, I'm excited to really introduce the stars of the show, our entertainment for tonight, and that is our Scholar Lightning TED Talks. We did this last year. It was a big hit, and we wanted to give the opportunity for the scholars to do it again and for you all to hear them. Each one of the scholars was selected, there's 5, to give a short presentation about how COVID impacted their ability to be a leader. Just so you know, each one is being given a gift of $100 for participating tonight, and we're excited to be able to do that for them. And they have had some amazing coaching from one of our new community members, Laura Haynes. She's a fabulous coach, and she's now a Power to Fly volunteer, and she's been working with the scholars to brush up on their public speaking. I also want to thank all the mentors who helped these 5 scholars have these amazing talks. So thank you all for helping them. The very first scholar that I'm going to introduce is Aidy Ung. Aidy is graduating from Lafayette this year. She will graduate with a degree in civil engineering. And it's very exciting to be able to tell you all that she's heading to Virginia Tech in the fall for a graduate program in engineering as well. The title of her talk is Planning for Perfection or Maybe Not. And I'll let you take it away, Aidy.
Thank you so much, Barb, for the introduction. Yes, so I just kick off with my talk. I love to plan, and I love having control over everything. I love to be prepared for any possibilities. When I have a plan, I can sleep well at night. Planning is my friend, planning is my system, and overall, it has always worked for me. I was 16 and I was one of the youngest students when I graduated from high school. Academics have been my strong suit, and an organized schedule, planning, and hard work helped me get there. Now, I study at Lafayette College, majoring in civil engineering, and my planning system also helped me in my classes and in adjusting to a life in a new country. By my sophomore year, I feel pretty comfortable at Lafayette. I knew what it takes to be a good student, and I was ready to expand my horizon and embark on a new adventure. So my junior year, I planned to study abroad in London. London was exciting and at the same time, a little bit overwhelming. During the first 2 months, I spent hours in my room planning for my life in this big city. By the time I got used to living and studying in London, I had my perfect plan for the coming months. Then the pandemic arrived. All of a sudden, everything changed. My university went online, my study abroad program got canceled, COVID cases in London increased every day. My new London friends booked their tickets to go back to their home countries. My plan fell apart. I did not have my US visa to go back to Lafayette, and my summer internship in San Francisco was up in the air. I was frustrated. Every day, I talked to my mentors to discuss what to do. But there were hourly changes in COVID policies for both the US and the UK's, as well as the fear for my health and my safety, and being alone in a dorm. I went to bed being so anxious and realized that I did not need a plan. What I need at that moment was a decision. At that moment, I was clear that I had to go back home to Cambodia. I had to accept the fact that I had no control over this pandemic, this worldwide pandemic. When I arrived home, instead of being anxious and upset that I was not able to experience London, I chose to enjoy my time at home. I was so happy that I got to spend time with my family, although it was not in my plan. It turned out to be the best experience I could have ever hoped for, because I got to spend time with my 3 younger siblings and help them through this strange time. I now accept that I can only control so much, as it is impossible for me to plan for everything. It is not about planning for perfection, whatever my idea of perfection may be, but it is how I can adapt and respond to unexpected changes that help me cope with challenges in life. I still love planning and predictability, but if things do not go according to my plan, I know that I can take a deep breath, accept that I do not have control, and embrace the exciting opportunities that are presented to me. Thank you.
Nice, Aidy. Thank you so much. That was amazing. Okay. We're going to move on to the next scholar, and that is Ariane Irafasha. Ariane is a sophomore at Beloit College, and Ariane is majoring in, I kind of lost it. I'm sorry, I don't have Ariane's major. Maybe you can announce that when you come on, Ariane. The name of her presentation is The New Plan B. Ariane, take it away.
Hi, everyone. Before I start, I just realized how much I have in common with Aidy. Like her, I'm a very big planner and I like to have my things ahead of time. Hi, everyone. My name is Ariane. I am a Rwandan African scholar and I'm a sophomore at Beloit College, majoring in health and quantitative economics. I'm here today and I'm so excited to share with you the biggest lesson that I've learned during the pandemic. I'm still learning. So when I came in the US, which was 2 years ago, I was very excited, even though I had a lot of emotions. I was very excited for everything, even though I didn't know what to expect. I knew that everything would go according to plan because it's been always working for me. And everything changed when I was thinking of my summer. I was hoping that my summer internship was going to be in person, hopefully go home, see my family. It was always almost 1 year without seeing my family. So I was like, yeah, maybe if I get an internship that was going to be in person, that would be really perfect. And hopefully if it was going to be related to my interest, which is health, even though by that time I wasn't decided on which major I wanted, but I always knew that my interest was health. So this is where Plan B had to take place. And the new Plan B I'm talking about here is not something that you're going to sit down and prepare. It's not something that you're going to plan in advance. it's something that you're going to allow your mind to do. So sometimes when I think of changing my plans, I feel like it's a failure. But this pandemic has shown me that actually, when things don't go according to plans, it's not a failure. It's actually a recipe for success. So when the pandemic emerged, I came to a conclusion that it was nearly impossible to have an in-person internship. It was also impossible to go home. At the same time, I was really worried about myself, my family, my friends, as everybody else was. So I reached out to an amazing woman who works at my school. She works with international students. If there is anyone who goes to Beloit College knows her. Her name is Betsy. So I reached out to her, and because I wanted to have something to do during the summer, and she helped me find the leads, and I ended up having a very amazing internship, which was virtual. And surprisingly, it was related to cinema, something that I could have never, ever imagined myself doing. This turned out to be a very interesting internship because if I hadn't been able to allow myself to make Plan B go into action, I wouldn't have done it. The new Plan B I'm talking about here, as you all may be wondering, is flexibility. I allowed myself to be flexible, and I allowed myself to take advantage of every opportunity that will come my way. So this is how I ended up with an organization which is based in South Africa. And it made me realize that I had goals that I didn't know that I had, because I was able to learn more about other African countries and how they're tackling social issues. And it also made me know how to work with different people from different countries. So I'm very grateful that I was very open to having new plans and like how to approach different different problems if there is unexpected circumstances coming my way. And that's what I want you all to do. I want you to allow yourself to be flexible. And I promise you, you're going to be a successful leader if you allow yourself to be flexible and change your plans. And remember, it's not going to be a failure. It's going to be a recipe for success. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Ariane. Such good advice. I love it. Okay, our next scholar up is Phidor Ung. Phidor is a sophomore at Beloit College, and she's actually double majoring in political science along with environmental justice and citizenship. Her topic, the title of her speech is Leaders Never Give Up Their Responsibility. Take it away, Phidor.
Thank you, Bob. Let me share my slide. Okay. Okay, hello everyone. I'm Phidor, a Chican scholar from Cambodia. Study political science and environmental studies at Beloit College. Today I have the honor to do the presentation or speech on house leaders never give up their responsibilities, especially in a crisis. We all know that COVID-19 is bad for our humanity. It changed everyone's daily life and mine as well. My school moved entirely online. I could not even go to eat food at the school cafeteria. Instead, I had to order food online and pick it up at least twice a day. And here I see a problem in a problem. Once my new living conditions started, I noticed that I use many more plastics. My food was packed in plastic boxes and placed in plastic bags. Who knows how many fish and animals in the oceans would have died if I used the plastics, and how unreal that the plastic end up with maybe climate change, animal life, water pollution, or air pollution. And seeing this, thinking about this, I thought I had to do something. What I have done was that I always brought my eco bag whenever I go to pick up my food. I did that every single day. By minimizing 2 plastic bags a day, I finally reduced about 700 plastic bags in my last year. it even doesn't include the number of plastic I refuse to use from the grocery store. I also gave my other plastic bag to my other friends and remind them to bring their bag before going to pick up their food. So we save more than 700 plastic bags. Well, I think at least 700 multiplied by 3. I chose to care. It might be inconvenient, but it is my responsibility to manage my own waste. It is my responsibility to protect the environment I live in, and it is my responsibility not to harm others. From this experience, I learned that we as leaders never give up our responsibility, no matter in what situation. We as leaders, we never give up ourselves, our community, our world, and our futures. No matter what circumstance, we as leaders, be careful, and be a leader, be responsible. Thank you.
Wow. Phidor, you're such an inspiration. I know I try hard, but I'm really inspired now. Thank you.
Yes, sorry, a little bit. Yes,
Oh, you're not done yet? Are you not done?
I done. I just was to remove my slide.
Okay, thank you so much. Next up is Rosie Ith. Rosie is a junior at the University of Portland. She's majoring in economics, and she's going to talk about leading with compassion. Go, Rosie.
Thank you so much, Barb. Hello, everyone. 2020, what a year. I always told myself to be strong. Don't stop until you reach the goal. Those were the words that have helped me become who I was until COVID hit and everything was falling apart. In mid-March, with just one email, I was leaving my dream program, a semester in London, and I was on my way back home to Cambodia. While figuring out the quarantines after 30 hours of traveling, I also had to learn about Zoom. And suddenly classes that are supposed to be at museum, contemplating about paintings in London with my peers, turned into me sitting in my room alone and staring at computer screens. Soon after, I found out that my very hard-earned spot in a UP competitive program had been canceled, and I was no longer going to visit the United Nations in New York. In April, it felt like my plans were disappearing, one after another. It felt like COVID-19 took all of my hard-earned plans and dreams away. I could no longer tell myself to be strong, because how could I when the world is no longer the ones I recognize? How could I continue walking forward when no lesson I had learned was helping me to navigate nor preventing my goals from fading away? While I was physically safe, my mental health wasn't. It felt like life was giving me a bucket of lemons and I did not know what to do with it. Suddenly, the call with my mentor, Christine's, became all about how hard life was, mostly with me crying and asking her what to do. I was joining the call hoping to get the exact plans and answers from my mentor. But Christine told me something I did not expect. She told me, Rosie, take a walk and things will get better. Or, Rosie, take a break and you'll see the answer. I didn't know what it was then, but Christine's was teaching me how to practice self-compassion and how to be kind with myself when I face challenges. I took this advice to heart and started practicing it. When my Zoom link did not work, I said to myself, Rosie, take a break, it's okay. Just restart the computer, it's always work. When I did not know if I should come back to school in August when US was still a hotspot, I heard Christine's voice tells me to take a walk and things would get better. And they did. I cleared my head and found my answers. I didn't come, which was a great decision indeed, because I was able to adopt a new dog, my Tony, and to spend more time with my family. COVID-19 taught me that being a strong leader does not mean that I have to be on a go, go, go every single time. When life gets hard, such as COVID-19, a leader should be kind to herself. I learned that my head is clearer when I show kindness to myself. I think wisely when I pause and show myself compassion. And I lead better when my compassion is shared with people around me. Because kindness and compassion, just like smiling, are contagious. COVID-19 did not actually take my dreams away. It was in fact just a big wave slowing me down to help me learn to lead with compassion. So that the next time life gives me lemons, whether it be COVID-19 or zombie apocalypse, and I hope we don't have to come to that, I will make lemonades with a little bit of kindness and compassion to share with everyone. Thank you.
Wow. Rosie, you are unstoppable. I know that COVID is not going to keep you down. That was lovely. Thank you for sharing all of that lovely wisdom. Okay. And now our last lightning TED Talk is from Theary Heang. She's a freshman at Gettysburg hasn't declared her major yet. She's going to talk about how she addresses loneliness with goal setting. Go Theary.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Barb, for your introduction. Let me ask you this. Have you ever felt lonely before? Well, yes, I have. Recent studies show that 61% of people from the age of 18 to 25 years old felt lonely most days in the week in this COVID-19 pandemic. I arrived in the US in the middle of the pandemic for my first academic year. At first, the school says we're going to be in school together, studying hybrid in person and online. But it's not even like 2 or 3 weeks into the semester, the school announced everyone has to be sent home except first year. So at that time, it was quite fast. I haven't really adjusted my life in the US yet. And that happened. I was sent to live by myself in a dorm. And it was quiet at that time. The school was quiet. I felt lonely and a bit isolated. Sometimes I feel like I don't even belong in the school or even back at home in Cambodia. It was quite tough, but one thing stuck to me, that I won't let this loneliness get to me. So I took 3 clear and specific steps into setting my own goal and to defeat this loneliness. So first of all, first step, I talk about it. I talk about my problem with a lot of campus resources I find. I talk with my student success advocates. I talk with my friend, and they give me a lot of advice, a lot of good advice. But one thing really stick to me is that I need to find something that I value the most and do it, so that I would feel like I will leave, like I feel like I want to leave again. So the second step I take is to do volunteering work. I'm lucky enough to have Nick as another She Can Scholar on campus. She introduced me to do volunteering with a Center for Public Service on campus. I really love it then. I feel like I'm so happy. I meet a lot of people. And then I continue doing it with the other organization on campus, like International Student Office. But it's not, I just don't want us just stop there. So I asked Nick whether I can involve anything, like continue doing it. So she introduced me to this cool position with the Center for Public Service on campus as a program coordinator. So the third step is apply for the job. Yeah, I remember at first there, it's quite challenging for this kind of positions. I have to go through online applications and 2-step of interview, even though it was challenging, but it's also valuable experience for me too. But guess what? I made it. I got the job that I always want, and I'm going to start it in the fall. what's best about it is that I already made some friends along the way. I've talked to them and I feel good about it. And I can't wait to start it in the fall. So yeah, in short, once again, when I face with challenge, such as loneliness, maybe one, I can't let it get to me. I took 3 steps into addressing it. 1, talked about it, asking for help. 2, doing what you really love, which is volunteering, and apply for the job that I want. So my message is that whenever I will face challenge in the future, which I know I might, or I will, I know that goal setting is going to be a tool that's helped me through those challenges. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Theary. Very inspiring. I'm going to keep those words of wisdom for a long time. Thank you. Okay, those were our 5 lightning TED Talks. I feel like each one of you knocked it out of the park, which is an American saying, but it means you did exceptionally well. We're going to move on now and give our annual award for the scholar who stands out in the senior class. This scholar is named after our amazing mentor and friend, SuperNoma. Lisa, in addition to being a mentor, she worked in our office part-time, and sadly, she passed away in 2017, really suddenly. We still very much miss Lisa. She really was a bright star that lit up the room. She had this authenticity about her and a very light and carefree way of moving through the world that was inspiring. So in her honor, every year, we award our top senior with the SuperNoma Award. We think that the supernova encapsulates Lisa and what we hope for our scholars. And so I'll tell you a little bit about a supernova. If you don't already know, it occurs during the last stages of a massive star's life. It's when a catastrophic destruction is marked by one final titanic explosion. And this causes a sudden appearance of a new bright star before slowly fading from sight over several weeks or months. So we present this every year to one of our brightest scholar stars, one who really we think brings exponential love and energy to the She Can organization, inspires all of us and her sisters, especially, to be bigger and try harder to be more impactful and better. This year, we actually picked 2 scholars to give the SuperNoma Award to because we felt that there were 2 very deserving senior scholars. And Madison is going to present both of the awards. So I'll pass it over to Madison.
Thanks, Barb. I have the honor of announcing both of our SuperNoma awardees this year. Our first is Aidy Ung. Congratulations, Aidy.
Yay.
Everybody drop a line in the chat or in the comments or use a reaction to show Aidy some love. Aidy is a senior at Lafayette College, where she studies civil engineering. You've heard from her already during her TED Talk earlier this evening. Aidy, I'm talking to you now. You exude such positive energy and optimism. We know we can always count on you. That's part of why we picked you for this award. You're always there to lend a hand if we have a new initiative or idea, and you're always up for joining a She Can event. This year in particular, you stepped up to help us co-develop Speaking as a Leader, a program for your fellow She Can scholars to improve their spoken English. And you're always one of the first to volunteer. You're going to be on our first ever senior advice call for younger scholars, and I'm personally looking forward to hearing how you've managed to develop such rich and deep bonds with everyone on your mentor team. You've really integrated yourselves into their families, and it's inspiring, I think, for the other scholars. You're also just a really great ambassador of the She Can program everywhere you go, especially at Lafayette College, where you're a really great big sister to your younger She Can scholars there. And I think you're a role model specifically for how to build relationships with professors that will take you further in life. And I think you're a testament to the power of the network. You've continuously been selected for honors and opportunities at school because of those connections. And now you're on your way to Virginia Tech for your master's degree. We're just so proud of you. Congratulations, Aidy. You couldn't have deserved this award more. Do you want to say a few words?
Yes, thank you so much, Madison, for your kind words and for everything. I'm so honored to receive this recognition. Thank you so much, She Can, for amazing 6 years of support and love. Thank you so much, my 5 mentors. A big shout out to them, Diane, Beth, Julia, Mary Jane, and Anne. You've been, from day one, you've been so supportive of me and always been there for me. You have witnessed my evolution throughout this year, and I'm just so grateful for you. I am also would like to thank all my She Can sister for amazing community. I know we've been through a lot of up and downs together. Thank you for my big She Can sister for paving my path, and I'm just really looking forward to keep this relationship and grow the community to be bigger and bigger. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Aidy. Congratulations again, and we'll mail you this award afterwards. Okay. Our second award goes to Diane Ingabire. Congratulations, Diane, if everyone wants to give her a little love.
Yay.
Yay. Diane is a senior at Spelman studying chemistry. And Diane, we chose you for this award because we really feel like you are just such an inspiration and a role model to the younger She Can scholars in the program. We admire your strong bonds that you've built with your mentor team and also your scholarship sponsor. You've really managed to develop some deep relationships, and I know they're cheering you on today from the sidelines. And this year, more than ever, I think we've really seen you stepping up into leadership roles, into She Can. You were our moderator extraordinaire for our graduate panel at leadership training in January. Thank you for doing that. And you also led the Rwandan culture workshop, and you really delivered that beautifully. So thank you for doing that. And you volunteered along with Aidy to be part of that senior advice call for the younger scholars. So we're looking forward to hearing from both of you. And more than all of that, I think you stood out to me because you go after your dreams. And I think that's really inspiring. When we met you in Rwanda on day one, you told us you wanted to be a forensic scientist. And when we went through the school selection process, we talked about liberal arts schools and how that might not be a reality, at least at first, but that you could build a strong foundation and maybe pursue that later. And you ended up at Spelman studying chemistry, where you took advantage, I think, of every opportunity you could to expand your knowledge in STEM and to put yourself on that path to becoming a forensic scientist. You did undergraduate research not only at Spelman, but also got into programs at UCLA and MSU. And now you're on your way to Genentech for the summer, where we know you'll learn a lot. And because of all of that and your commitment to what you want to do in the future, you are on your way to a PhD program in pharmacology and toxicology at Virginia Commonwealth this fall, our first ever PhD candidate. Congratulations, Diane. We know you're going to achieve your dreams. So I'll turn it over to you now, Diane, to say a few words.
Thank you, Madison. That was a lot, but I'm so grateful for this award. Grateful for She Can for all the 6 years. Really didn't know I'll make it to She Can, but here I am. Thank you, Bob, and everybody in the team. I'm so grateful for my 5 mentors. I know everyone is here. They've been with me since 2016 until now, and I know I'll keep this connection, and I'm here for anyone if they need anything. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Diane. We're so proud. Congratulations again. Barb, I'll turn it over to you.
Great. Well, congratulations to both of you. I don't think I said it up front. Each one of our SuperNoma Award winners receives $500 to get them going on their career. Okay, I'm gonna really, I think, wrap this up with a little bit about how you can become involved or become a little bit more involved. And the first way is by becoming a mentor. We are in the middle of mentor recruiting. We actually need about 2 more team leads and about 20 more team members. So if you're interested or you know someone who you think might be a good mentor, please reach out to Diane or Allison. You can also learn more about it on our website. The link is right there. You just go to the mentor tab and you'll find it. And you know, don't wait. Teams are filling up fast. So there is a little bit of pressure there. And I'd also like to tell you about our newest, I think it's been mentioned a little bit tonight, but we have a new endeavor that we're calling Power to Fly. It's a way to become involved in She Can that's different from being a mentor. It's basically a program to grow our community that's dedicated to our mission, growing women's global leadership, and provide a variety of volunteer opportunities to people, both men and women, who want to help our scholars, maybe don't have the time to be a mentor, or maybe have already been a mentor, and really just want to continue to hear about how they can help our cause and our scholars. So if you join, the benefits are that, you know, first of all, you get invited or become aware of different opportunities. And then also we have a new, we're not sure what we're going to call it, but we're regularly sending out news about the progress of women's leadership globally. And also you get invited to all of our amazing parties and galas, etc. You can find out more about that on our website under Power to Fly. I hope you all are interested in either or both of those. Okay. And now I'm going to pass it over and have Kelsey tell us a little bit about the big gala, what we've got planned.
Thanks, Barb. So now that COVID is winding down, I think we're all ready for a really great party. And the good news is we're really well known for throwing a really great party. So my personal goal tonight is to make sure everyone who's on the call is there. And take out your phones now. It's Saturday, November 13th at 5 p.m. Pacific time. The location is TBD. We're looking at a couple different venues in San Francisco. So we will be doing something in person, but we're going to continue live streaming the event. So it will be a hybrid event and we'll keep it global. The other great thing about this year is our theme, and we're very excited about it. This is the unveiling of our logo for this year. It's Revolution 2.0, a decade of unleashing ambitions. And that's because since we are turning 10 this year, we're not thinking about this as a gala so much as our 10th birthday party. So we can't wait to see you all out on the dance floor to Carol Chang, setting up those grooves again this year. And we're also really excited to announce our internal honoree for 2021 is one of our fearless founding board members and our current board chair, Mary Jane Luck, who has been with us since day one. And she's actually one of the mentors on Aidy's team too. And we're so thrilled to be able to acknowledge her this year. And we also have a fantastic team of co-chairs. Michelle Freed and Terry Garnick are first-time co-chairs this year, as well as mentors and travelers. So welcome to you two. And we'll have Jennifer King, Peggy Northrup, and Marianne Paco coming back again as co-chairs to help bring in all their friends. And we're really excited about that. So we would love for you to sign up to be a host or a sponsor of the gala Grace just put a link in the chat where you can learn more about host and sponsor packages. My contact information is on there, so feel free to reach out to me to sign up or to ask any questions. And I'm going to hand it back over to Barb now for questions and answers.
Awesome. Thanks, Kelsey. That was awesome. That was terrific. So Grace and I are going to do the Q&A. We have plenty of time. We have about 15 minutes. And we hope you all have some great questions.
Yes.
So go ahead, Grace. You talk.
Oh yeah, I have a question lined up if you're ready, Barb.
Yeah.
I want to invite family friend of the organization, Lisa Eppert, if you want to go ahead and unmute and ask your question about Guatemala.
Just so everyone knows, Lisa's my cousin. And she works.
Hi, everybody. So I was just curious with COVID and all of the issues, and I know you haven't spent a lot of time yet in country in Guatemala. Have you been able to line up partnerships like the ones you have in Liberia and Cambodia to help you along the way?
You know, such a good question. We have an amazing partner. We just had a call with them yesterday. It's the Maya School. They focus only on Indigenous young women, and they have a program that is rigorous and very much based on US curriculum. And they're very well connected with all the other schools that help Indigenous scholars. So they're going to introduce us to all of them. And we just feel really lucky. We're heading down there and we're going to make even more connections. So it's working out well. We're hoping that the spike in COVID doesn't keep growing, but right now it feels like maybe we'll be able to make it there. Thanks, Lisa.
Great question, Lisa. And this next question I have, I'm just going to go ahead and ask it because Shrey Tom's having some audio issues, but Shrey Tom, who is a SheCan scholar, graduate of last year, she's wondering if someone is interested in getting involved with SheCan, but they can't be a mentor due to a number of reasons. What are some of the ways that they can support SheCan?
Wow. Well, that's such a setup, because that's why we created the Power to Fly program. It's exactly what that is about. It's about joining, officially joining and being a part of SheCan. It's sort of a membership. And then, like I just said, you hear about different volunteer opportunities, or you might get tapped for something that might fit your expertise. But there's no commitment. It's really just sort of joining the network and then hearing about things. Thanks, Ray Tom.
Awesome. And then the next question I have was actually for some of the scholars that are on the line. The question was from Peggy Northrop. Peggy, if you want to unmute and ask your question.
Hi, everybody. I love hearing from all the scholars. I always do, but I especially loved hearing how wise you are about this period. I mean, so many of us have been going through the same thing, so it was just wonderful to hear. My question is, if you could name one thing that you want to carry forward from this time, what would it be? And if there was one thing about your previous pre-COVID life that you think, I never need to do that again. So it's a lightning round for anybody who wants to answer.
They're all leaders, so they're going to jump in.
And remember to unmute.
Peggy, why don't you say the two questions again so they can get it?
Yes. So one thing that you want to keep from COVID time, and one thing from your old life pre-COVID that you don't miss at all, that you don't want back.
Can I answer one question? For me, I learned that I never take something for granted from COVID.
I think I'll go for that too. I'll say that COVID taught me that I need to, not that I didn't know how to plan, but I think taking class online and being at home, sitting in your room or apartment can make you lazy. So I think what I learned is to still have, a better, like not planning what the future has, but planning what you need to do daily. At least you know what you have on your, on your list, or daily list. And for the pre-COVID, I think nothing, because I appreciated my life then, so I'll still carry everything.
Cool.
I also want to jump in as well if we still have time. I think the two questions are kind of related for me. I'm a person who loves to plan. And like one big lesson that I learned from COVID is that all of my plan, like I said, like faded away. And so things like unexpected things happen. And so I think one of the things that I have learned is that I'm just gonna like borrow a Nike quote for a moment, is to just do it. Like whatever things I have, I don't have to wait for it. I need to, if I have the opportunities, I need to jump and do it, because the future is uncertain and we won't know what's gonna happen even tomorrow. So yeah.
Awesome. Peggy, those were great questions. I loved hearing everybody's lessons learned.
Yeah. And I'm just going to take a moment to say, I know we have quite a few people watching on Facebook Live. So if you're watching on Facebook, please feel free to leave your question in a comment, and we'll try to answer it on here as well. Another question that came in that I'm going to ask for the person is, what's the internship update for the summer? And in general, what kind of internships are we looking for now for the scholars? Great question.
I'm going to let Madison answer that one.
Sure. So we had more scholars than ever asking for our help with internships this year. I think we had about 30 who were in our outreach, and half of those for sure have something, more than half, because some have research positions on campus. I think we have about 18 or 19 who currently have positions. The rest are still looking. Some of the freshmen who were looking have shifted their attentions more towards on-campus work, which I think is wise, and we're helping them with that as well. If I had to think of specific industries where we could use a few more, I think sort of the nonprofit social justice policy work, that area is definitely somewhere where we need a few more. And you can find, I think someone just dropped it in the chat, you can find information about all of our scholars who are seeking internships on our website, including really nice detailed profiles on what they're looking for. If you can help us make a connection, please do, and feel free to email me about that. I'll drop my email in the chat too.
Awesome.
Great. I think those were all of the, I'll just double check, but I think those were all of the questions we had, unless anyone wants to drop one in the chat right now. Oh, great. We have one here. Watena, would you like to unmute and ask your question?
Hi, sure. I'm a new mentor, and I just wanted to know from the scholars that are on, first of all, I'm very impressed. Thank you all for taking the time to share your amazing takeaways with us. But I'm wondering, what's maybe just one thing from one or two or all of you that your mentor or mentors did that was the most helpful for you?
Great question.
Hi. I would say communication with your mentee is very important, but not, again, over communicating, because people are different. But also I would say learn about your mentee, because all of us are very different, very, very different. We like different things. So, trying to learn about your mentee, what they like, what they don't like. Sometimes you might not be so open to say that, but as time comes, you're going to learn about your mentee, and it's very easy by communicating. An example is me with my mentors. We have a group chat, which is very helpful. So we say, hi, this happened, and that's a way to get connected and grow more relationship and a better relationship. Yeah.
Thank you, Diane. Anyone else want to share?
I'm not sure if Aidy want to go first or.
Rosie, you can go first.
Okay. I think for me, whenever I think about my mentors, they are always, I always feel like they're my second family, because coming to the United States, it's so hard to accumulate to all the cultures, all the like very competitive academic programs. And it's really helped to feel like I always have a group of amazing women and their family to be able to lean to whenever I face challenges or need like words of advice and stuff. And so I think like just want to echo what Diane said. As times goes on, I'm sure like just like me, your mentees will also grow more connected with everyone as well. And so as long as we maintain that communication, honesties and love, mutual loves for each other, I think it will be really helpful for both the mentees and the mentors as well.
Awesome.
Thanks, Rosie. Aidy, did you want to jump in too?
Yes, I do not have one thing because my mentors helped me with so many things. It was really hard to pick one. I think I really embraced the opportunity to get to know them and the relationship we share. And I think my mentors helped me in so many different ways. I think that's also according to their expertise as well. I think, Beth, you helped me a lot with my application essays, and I think Julius helped me with like creative works and talking about hobbies and stuff. And Leanne today helped coach me how to do a good speech and stuff like that. So I think it also depends. But I think I really appreciate the relationship, and just like Rosie said and Diane already mentioned. Thanks.
Thank you all so much for sharing.
All right. Any more, Grace?
I think those are all the questions. I just want to add for anyone who's just watching on Facebook and isn't seeing the Zoom comments, other things that scholars shared in the chat about what's great about their mentors and what they'd want to share was mentors creating a safe and comfortable space for the mentee, mutual respect and understanding. They love that the fact that their mentors are so open and listen to them, and that they're a great support system. So thank you all the scholars for sharing that advice.
Yay. Okay, I think I'll wrap it up. I just want to, first of all, say heartfelt thank you for joining us tonight and hearing all about She Can, being interested in it. And I just want a big round of applause for our amazing lightning TED Talk speakers. I think all 5 of you were phenomenal. And yay, you guys. I hope you enjoyed the journey of that and got a lot out of it. And our SuperNoma awardees, thank you for being so awesome. And really from the bottom of my heart, thank you to this community for helping us be as strong as we are and growing over the last 10 years, getting us through COVID, which, you know, we couldn't have done it without all the support, and really helping us to continue to grow and move on into Guatemala. I'm really lucky to have had such a great support system over these past 10 years and to be able to create opportunities for women. And I really, really appreciate it. So thank you for this journey and for the last 10 years. Thank you. And I guess I just want to say I can't wait to see everyone at our commencement on June 5th. Thank you again.